Next, we have a panel discussion on voice technology in healthcare. This session will be moderated by Sara Hasbun, the founder of Mandarin Linguistics. Panelist, Steve Lam, Head of Data Science at SingHealth. Gaurav Arya, Business Head and Enterprise Sales at ShAIp. Andreas Yunanto, Head of IT at Kalbe Health. Professor Hananiel, CEO at National Hospital Indonesia. Guys, the podium is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us. So let's jump right in. We've already done the introduction, so let's jump into the topic. The pandemic has certainly accelerated a lot of technology adoption across the world, but especially in Asia. I don't think that any sector could have been more impacted than the healthcare sector this year. And I've been popping into panels throughout the day and listening to the sessions, and I'm definitely hearing a recurring theme, and that is that in the spring of 2020, we saw a lot of voice tech projects suddenly getting funding. We saw a lot of voice tech companies suddenly attracting interest from investors and potential buyers. This is truly going to be a sea change for the world of voice tech. And today, I think it'll be really interesting to hear specifically what that has meant for the healthcare industry. We're going to focus mostly on how speech recognition and voice tech is going to affect the healthcare sector in the years to come. And we'll start out with the topic of how voice can help to reduce the load of manual documentation. So actually, Sean, I'd love to bring this to you. You're representing SingHealth. Do you have any thoughts on how you see voice tech affecting the load of manual documentation on the healthcare industry?
Yeah, from a healthcare perspective, I think there are a lot of manual writing, manual typing in, particularly consultation sessions, even in the operating theater, operating rooms, in the wards, in the ICUs and so forth. And currently, I think we started our digitalization journey very early on, about 20 years ago. We have already converted our emergency department pen and paper to digital inputs into the computer using the EMR system. So all this will just result in more typing rather than writing. But again, I think it also means that when you type, you need to kind of really put in what are the insights on the patients, and that may actually divert your attention away from the patient. So it's kind of like that connection with the patient may be lost. So I do see health tech, voice tech in particular, playing a big role in helping to alleviate some of this problem, this manual writing down of diagnostic records, diagnostic notes, and so forth. That will actually not just improve the efficiency, but in fact improve the entire quality of care, the patient centricity of care, which is extremely important, whereby you can just imagine doctors, nurses, caregivers, allied health providers, they can just make use of this technology to transcribe what they actually see in the patient, what they should be writing in the notes itself as well. And from the back end, the point where we start to analyze the notes, again, there is a lot of I'm actually looking after the data science aspect of health services research. And when we look at the diagnostic notes, there are also a lot of heterogeneity when we do the analysis. So voice tech coupled with intelligent algorithms that can help to actually resolve and transcribe accurately, I think that's the first thing to do. But provide better analytical support back end as well when we look at them to gain more insights to eventually improve care. Yeah, but I do see a lot of opportunity there.
Right. Yes, and I'd love to hear then from Hans. Are you seeing the same kind of trends, or foreseeing the same kind of trends in documentation?
Yeah, it's kind of like a major shift in healthcare now. That medical healthcare industry is a quite complex industry. And then when we talk about the process in the hospital, it's quite complicated, interdepartmental, And for the legal issue and for the record, it needs to input it in the medical record. So the medical record usually previously on the first phase we use the manual, and then now we implement the electronic medical record by typing the medical record. But the problems occurs, and then the burnout of the doctors and nurses because of the too much time takes for typing. So the eye contact with the patient is really decreasing, and then the process in the outpatient also increasing to up to 40% because of the typing issue, a lot of form and things like that. So the breakthrough, the innovation is how we combine the voice technology, the voice recognition, the voice, but we still need to input it in the text. So what we did in the hospital now is we converting the speech to text technology to helping the doctors to do the inputting the medical record. That is the piloting the pilot project of the innovation.
So actually, I'd be interested to hear then, Gaurav, has your company ever been involved in these kind of projects that are helping to provide that text or provide the data necessary to make that text-to-speech possible?
Yeah, we are helping the doctors how they can do the best quality of services with doing the eye contact with the patients by doing the speech-to-text technology as well.
Great. And Gaurav, has your company been involved in any similar initiatives, or have they been on the other side of that, providing the training data?
Yes, there have been many such areas in terms of sourcing the right kind of data sets so that speech recognition models can be trained in multiple languages on different accents and dialects, which has been one of the challenge when it comes to training these voice tech applications. So historically, if you see, the physicians have been found spending 1/3 of their time in the manual documentation process, which is not the ideal practice. You would want this time to be utilized by them, on the patient interaction, so that the quality of care and the quality scores can be improved. With the advent of smart listening devices, you can now set up these devices in the examination rooms, and then they'll be able to automatically transcribe the dictation in the transcribed records, which can finally go into the EHR. So there has been application of voice tech solutions which has come very handy. At the same time, you have clinical documentation softwares which are driven again by AI, wherein structured data can be taken from these interactions happening between the physician and the patient and can be directly entered automatically into the EHR in the respective fields without any manual intervention. So that's again a great invent, I would say. And thirdly, we have been long utilizing the human powered transcription services and software. However, now we are seeing that ambient voice can do the same task at a much better accuracy. So the voice will be able to generate the same data from the natural interaction between the physician and the patient, and can reduce the dependency which has been there on the transcription industry. So that's again a huge cost saving, and that's where ShAIp is working to help our customers train the voice recognition models in plenty of languages and accents, so that their models can be trained in the most unbiased way and gives the accurate results.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So Andreas, I know that you're also in health, and you also have a foot in the AI and the ML sectors. Have you seen some of these benefits that Gaurav has been explaining? Have you been able to see any of these end results at the hospitals that you're working with?
Yeah, actually, we are in the pharmaceutical industry, but actually, there our subsidiary company that have a nutritional side. So the nutritional side have the customer service that get the question from the customer, and the customer call us to ask about the products. So the recording of the transcription, the conversation, we try to analyze it to make the products getting better and better in the time. So I think the voice technology is playing a big role for this, because to process the dialogue to text, so the conversation to text is really powerful, because when we can get the text transcription, so we can analyze it more better with the other big data processing. I think it's really powerful for voice technology for us to get to know better about our customers' need and efficiency of our products, especially in nutritional products.
Great. Well, then I'd like to move on to the next topic, if that's okay with everyone, how voice can be used for better diagnoses. We've definitely already discussed some points that are very relevant to this, but in general, I'd love to hear, especially from people that are working in the healthcare industry. Why don't we go with Hans? Can you tell me a little bit more about your experience having voice and how it might help lead to better or more efficient diagnoses?
So we have the data that we try to pilot project in some doctors, in some clinics, that with the help of the voice technology, so the patient to doctor's experience is more improving. So with the same quality of time, the patient have a lot more satisfactory level, rather than if we not implement the voice tech and then we use the typing with the electronic medical record. As well as patient experience is also in the inpatients. We equipping our inpatient service with the voice tech. So the voice command is really important for the inpatient, for the patient who are admitted in the hospitals, because 30% of the nursing workload usually is only helping the patient only to turn off the TV, switch on the lighting. So with the voice command technology in the room, it can decreasing the tasks like that, and it will improving the productivity level of the nurses. And I believe with that, it will increasing also the quality of services as well.
That's really interesting. We're hearing that voice tech we know that it's good at doing things like turning on TVs and turning off TVs, and they can do that really efficiently and reduce the burden for nurses. Are we seeing anything beyond that yet, or is it too early to see real benefits from using voice technology to speed up the actual diagnostic process?
Yeah, according to our research, we've been using it almost a year now, the voice command in only some rooms, the VIP rooms. The satisfactory level is increasing, the quality of care also increasing, and we have the efficiency level of the nurses as well. And besides that, the prestige is also important, because it will increasing the patient experience, and they will telling the story to other people, and it will increasing also the image of the hospital as well.
That's great. Well, I'd love to hear from Sean then, if you're seeing the same thing in Singapore and at your hospital. Are you seeing voice tech being used for diagnostic purposes, and is that helping reduce the workload for the physicians?
Right. If you are talking about the diagnostic process, which is maybe starting from, for example, the specialist outpatient clinic or the outpatient clinics and emergency departments, the technology, I think, have to mature to a certain level whereby, like what Gaurav and Andreas mentioned, the ability to pick out the key pieces of information that can help to fill in forms that you see in the clinical documents, as well as being able to capture the relevant information. So those have to be there. But I do see the vision is there, the potential is definitely there. As the technology matures, it can go even into, say, very critical care kind of processes, like in operating theaters, whereby the sterile field is something which is as particularly extremely important to keep taking care of the patients. So with all this laptops and computers that's around that the reason for them to be there is to capture the information and not really directly improving the operations of the surgery itself. If we can actually achieve that level of precision in terms of capturing the right information, in terms of dictating the kind of instruments to be turned on, to be turned off, to get that level of precision, as well as the built-in safety aspects as well, meaning that it's not just one. I mean, I guess most of us would have experience with Google, with Alexa and Siri and so forth. Sometimes they are a bit annoying, so that level of technology is definitely not something that we can bear with in critical care processes. So I do see a huge potential there. The other potential that I see is actually in terms of clinical governance. When manually typing in, you may lose some information, but if there is a recording that transcribes the information there, you can always go back direct to the recording, what the patient says, what the doctor relays, and so forth. So it also would help in that aspect in terms of the overall care quality for the healthcare system. Yeah.
Great. Okay, well, let's move on then to the next topic. We would like to discuss the use of wearables then. Some of you have already touched on that, but the use of wearables in clinical and in home settings that might help possibly also with the diagnostic process, potentially with other parts of different other processes that are happening both on the pharma or in the healthcare area. Any thoughts from anyone on the use of wearables? Have you had these experiences in your sectors?
Surely, I think smart variables are going to be, very helpful. Even if you have to consider possible future pandemics. In fact, some of the research institutions have seen initial success, even detecting the coronavirus with conversational apps and smart variables. There's still a long way to go, but by training the smart variable applications in the right manner, you can probably understand the disease as well. So for an example, with the help of galvanic voice technology, you will be able to analyze the speech of the patient, the tone, the pitch, the rate at which the patient is uttering the words, the repetition of the words. So by utilizing all these things, you can come to know and detect the degenerative disorders like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, some of the stress or post-traumatic disorders. So that is again helping the healthcare industry a lot. And I would see if you have to analyze smart variables impact on the healthcare, it can be in two ways. One would be on the patient side, wherein the patient would now be able to go for online physician scheduling the appointments. They can also get the eligibility check done in real time by utilizing these smart variables. At the same time, they'll also be able to get their queries answered from the physicians remotely. And if you have to consider the physician or the health staff, from their side as well, these smart variables can document the patient-physician interaction in the EHR directly without any manual intervention. So that is again, time saving from the physician point of view, which can lead, which can lead for better physician satisfaction rates. At the same time, physician would now be able to interact with the patient more. So, the quality scores of the hospitals can go up. And at the same time, I would say that the staff productivity can also go up. So there are, some of the merits which has already the world is seeing from the smart wearable industry, in my view.
Interesting. So actually, I'd like to ask then, Andreas, have you been seeing some of these merits that Gaurav is mentioning on his end of things? Have you seen that in pharma? Are there wearables that are helping the pharma industry?
Yes, actually, one of my company's business is in laboratory. So the diabetic status, so it can be directly connected to our online system. So when the glucose is going down, so we can alert the system and tell the telehealth system that this is the patient is going down and in this critical condition. So we can follow up it by the booking system. So we can relate it into a hospital, the booking and the consultation with the doctor in the hospital directly with our telehealth system. So the communication is not always you have to go to hospital, but it can be done with the telehealth by the teleconference or video consultation. So it can be seamless when the patient is need to some treatment directly and emergency. I think it's great potential for the technology for wearable connected to the telehealth.
Wow, it's incredibly streamlined. It removes several links in that process and gets the patient to the hospital much faster or closer to the medications much faster. That's incredible. Sean, are you seeing that kind of streamlining at SingHealth?
Regarding the workflows and so forth, I think from the provider perspective as well as the patient perspective, both will stand to benefit. From the provider's perspective, I guess, is about being able to resolve some of the processes that I mentioned earlier that are actually kind of not really necessary for the care, but really for documentation purposes. And also, I think it will help in the staff workload in terms of managing, say, for example, their own scheduled patients as they come into the clinics, being able to pick up information fast rather than having to check through their own records, but just imagine an intelligent assistant in a doctor office whereby a question is being asked and the assistant can actually pick up the relevant information. What is the background? What is the history of these patients? What are the complaints and so forth, and prepare even before seeing the patient, know what is going on for the patients without having to go through the entire record checking. So I guess some of us may have experience going to clinics. The doctor have to click through multiple pages just to find out what exactly happened in the past, so that the right treatment is given to the patient and so forth. So you can just imagine, without having to go through all this, just asking questions to an intelligent assistant, being able to provide the key information that will definitely help in the process of care. Yeah, and it's the same for nurses as well, because the shift change, nurses change. They may not be aware of what happened when they pick up that shift. So just asking some question, is this person on this particular diet, is at risk of fall and things like that, and all those can really help in the processes, I would guess. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, with more continuity, helping all the professionals be looped into all the information. That's very exciting. Very exciting. Yeah. Great. Oh, and I'm glad to see lots of questions coming in. We'll definitely make sure to address those at the very end. Keep on sending your questions if you have them. Let's move on to the final topic, which is about telehealth and how it's implementing voice AI. Once again, we've kind of touched on this from multiple perspectives already, but is there anything else that you would like to add? I'll go with Hans. Anything you'd like to add in terms of telehealth and how it's interacting with voice AI?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, that digital health, especially telehealth, is on the second wave now, especially during the pandemic, because the people are quite frightened to go to the hospital, so they need to have different ways to consult with the doctors. And then as well as we have so many activities, so many patients, so telehealth is going to be resolving issues. So by our experience in implementing the telehealth, that it increasing now at the moment, our outpatient around 30% is coming from the telehealth. So according to that, it's in helping the patient, helping also the doctors to more productivity, to more handling the patients more, and it's make the hospital becoming borderless. So lots of patient now is not only from surrounding city or even the surrounding blocks of the hospitals, but the patient now about 45% coming from out of town because of the telehealth, because of the teleconsultation. Oh, I agree with Sean that the technology is still improving, and I believe in the future, yeah, it can be better and better, so we can handling and treating the patients becoming more comprehensively.
That's very exciting. It's really improving accessibility, right? As Andreas, have you seen examples of that, of telehealth allowing for improved accessibility to your services?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because one of our product is telemedicine. When go back to earlier the COVID-19 pandemic in the early stage in 2020, actually we built a chatbot platform that can do like a symptom checker for the COVID-19 suspect. So people can get the information. Is it in the high risk or not? So the symptom checker evaluate the symptom by the question by the patient answer the question, and it really helpful for the time being, because when we launched that, the other telemedicine launched as well, same like chatbot with symptom checker like that, and it's already used by million of people, and so it's really helpful because the communication is directly, so we don't need to see the doctor first, and because in the pandemic situation, we being afraid to go to hospital, right? Because the pandemic situation. So the telehealth that can give the information and the access of information directly to the patient is really helpful, and especially in Indonesia, because our country is the archipelago country, so we have around 17,000 islands, and most of them is remote islands. So the telehealth is really helpful to give access to healthcare to